Hey guys, so today we're going to be cleaning up our form a little bit, and I'm going to show you a cool component called Field that you can use from Formik that will help us clean up these two fields right here and basically get rid of a lot of the extra code that we have to write and make it really fast and just in general to write forms now. So here is what the field component looks like. So this is something coming from Formik. And basically what happens is you just specify the field and you say the most important thing, what the name of the field is, and notice something you don't pass on change, like how we are over here, not on change but a handle change. You don't have to pass in the values or handle blur. It does all of those things automatically, which is super nice. Now the one we're going to be using is kind of like this. So you specify a name and then you specify a custom component because we want ours to look nice too. And here's what the custom component looks like. So this is what we're going to code today, and we're going to copy this as a base template. And this is just the Formik README, and I'll link this if you want to copy this as well. But what I'm going to do is we're going to use this pretty much throughout the whole project. So in the modules folder, I'm going to create a new folder called shared. And in here I'm going to create something called input field.tsx and paste it in. So I'm going to change this to be const input field, and we're now going to use that this is going to be the field that we use for everything now, and we're going to reuse it. So first off, let's go ahead and import some of the things we need. So the first thing is React. And we also need to import Formik to get the field props. And we're going to say any here. We'll talk about what this is in a second. Here's custom ones. And I think we're good. Alright, so how this works is, first off, let's talk about the type annotation. So here's the type of this component. So you'll notice it is React.sfc. Now, if you haven't seen this, maybe we can click into it. So it stands for stateless component, and that makes sense because we have no state. This is just a function, right? So this looks fine enough. The other way you can write this, commonly I just write this as like something like this, a function where it's like you return a JSX element. Yeah, there we go. Or actually, that's how I do rendered prop. Never mind. Alright, this is fine. So, and then inside of here are the props that we expect our component. So first off, we expect two things, and we're anding them together. So what field props is, this is something coming from Formik. So Formik is going to give us name, value, on change, on blur, all these things. And we're telling our component that we're going to get these things because we said field props here. And then we can take any kind of props. Right now it's empty, we don't expect any props, so we could just do that, but we do expect some props coming in. We'll talk about that in a second. And then here is our form. So these are just things that Formik gives us access to, and then here are the props. So what we're going to do is pretty much just fill out this information. So right now we're just rendering an ugly div in input. What we want to do is go back to our view and kind of copy what this looks like. So what we're doing is we're basically creating a generic version of this in our input field over here. And I'm just going to move this to the top over here. We're going to use this as a template, but we don't like it. Alright, so we need to import form item and input and all that stuff, and that's coming from AntDesign. Paste that over. We'll do the same thing, grab this form item. Alright. And we don't need a button. Alright, so here we are displaying the help text. So the help text is touch.email errors. So we don't actually know the name of this input field. We can use it for anything. And so what we do is we use field.name to figure out which one we need to pick. And you guys gave me a nice tip in the comments. We can simplify this to just here, and that should work. So what we're going to do is we're going to say field.name. So we'll get the name of the thing that's touched and the error for it. So field.name, and then same thing here. And again, we can just copy this and paste it here. So the same condition that we have here, and maybe we should really turn this, since we're doing the same thing in both places, why don't we just make a variable? So we can return like that. All right, so I'm gonna say const error message, and it's gonna be equal to this thing. And so we would like to display the error message if there is one, and same thing here. So what we're saying right here is if there's an error message, this validate status should be error, otherwise it's undefined. Alright, so in our input here, you kind of saw up here, they just spread the field and spread the props. We're going to do the exact same thing. So spread the field and spread the props. So basically all the props and all the field stuff is going to now be on our input. And I don't think there's really anything else we need to do here. And I think we're good. So this input field, and I'm going to export it, we can now use in our form, and this is going to help us simplify the code. And you'll see this is going to be actually really nice to use now. We can get rid of this icon. Alright, so what we want to do is inside of the import for Formik, and this is inside of the register view, we're going to say field to get that field component from them. And alright, so let's first replace the email field. So we're going to say field, and the name of it is going to be email. Now we still have to pass in any things that we want to be unique. So the two unique things about this email are the prefix and the placeholder, so we can copy and paste those in. So this is where TypeScript does not expect us to have any other types. So in our input field over here, this is where we can specify, hey, you can pass in a prefix, which is, I think it's just a JSX element maybe. I don't know if that's correct. I don't really know how to type this. Types of property prefix. One way that you can do is, so like for example, I don't know how to add this type, right? What I want to do is I want to accept whatever prefix should accept. So what I usually do is I just command and then I click on input, and you can kind of see what the type definition that this ant-design library uses. So prefix, and they just use the type of any for prefix. So alright, that's fine. We'll just use the type of any for, oh no, it doesn't. It uses react.react node. Alright, so in our input field over here, we're going to just copy that. So react.react node. And it still doesn't like it. Element is not assignable to type string or undefined element. Not sure. I don't know if I mess up this. Oh, I know what. We didn't specify our component. Though I don't know if that'll fix it. All this time I was thinking we needed to fix the things over here. So, alright, the component we're passing in is the input field. Alright, so that got auto imported in, and that's coming from what we just built over there. So actually, I don't know why we're getting a problem with this. I don't know if a field is expecting a prefix. We can click on this and see if it expects a prefix or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say as any. So whenever I get, oh my gosh, we have to, yeah, there we go, a linting rule. And oh, I guess I would have to put 2. There should be no space between, there we go. Alright, so we're having a problem with this disable rule for this line. I can double disable. Alright, this is super ugly. Alright, so let me explain what I just did there. So I got rid of this error by casting it to the type of any. So I'm not really sure why we were getting a type error here, but whenever you get a type error that you're not sure why it's happening and you think your code is good, and if you're sure it's good, which I am in this case, what you can do is you can cast it. So I just cast it here to the type of any, and then it works. So you can pass any to anything, and this is kind of like your safeguard in TypeScript if you need it. But again, you don't want to ever use this just all over the place, because then there's no point in using TypeScript because you're not getting type checking. I really need to just copy this. JSX curly spacing. What is this rule actually? I don't know. There should be no space between that. Is there like a space here? Alright, I don't know what this rule is. We'll just disable. We'll just, oops, not fix. We'll just leave it where it was in the comments. Alright, so this is what we have to do compared to our form item here. So we'll save that. And now we'll see if this works. We can come over here to our React app and we can start typing. So bob@bob.com. So that's good. If I got rid of that, I guess .co is also a valid email. There we go. So now we have an invalid email, but you can see it's checking the types, it's getting the values, and let's see if I'm able to submit. We should be able to get the same value. There we go, bob.com. Register, got this. And by the way, I forgot to tell you guys, this prevents you from submitting, right? So it won't let me submit even because I have a validation error. So Formik handles that for you. Alright, so now we're going to do the same thing we did here, and that's going to be for our form item. So password, and this is going to be password as well. And we can just copy with the icon that they want. Alright. And delete 2A. And we need to specify the type. You can pass that in. Pass the type in. We don't need to pass anything else though, so we can just get rid of that and get rid of this. Alright. So now we have our two fields. We'll make sure this works. Let this refresh. Alright, so we messed something up. Input field ensures. Did I mess something up right here? Oh, I do have a bunch of unused things here, so I can get rid of that. Alright, there we go. Oops. I don't know if did I mess something up over here. It doesn't look like it did. Alright. Let this refresh and double check the password is right. And then if that works, there's one last thing I want to show you guys. So you can even simplify the form. So here's our form right here. If you wanted to, there's an uppercase form that you can get from Formik. Okay, duplicate. Oh, because we have a form here. So let's call this, I'll call it FF form. Actually, can I rename it? I can't even rename it. Okay, so I cannot rename imports. Alright, so we have a naming conflict. So what you have to do in this case is to just like, so we have a naming conflict between AntDesign and Formik. So usually what you have to do in that case is like this. So as, I guess, AntDesign, we'll just call it like that. So this is me importing all the things from AntDesign, and then we can say const, and we can just grab it now. So AntDesign form icon button. Alright, so if you ever have like a naming conflict like that, what you can do is you can import it like this. So now we're putting everything inside AntDesign, and then down here you can just destructure it like you would any kind of regular object. So now what we can do is, this is our ant form, so I can call this ant form, and we can get this from the ant form. And now I can successfully grab the, get the form. Oops, I had my caps lock on. I was wondering what was messing everything up. Alright, so we can now get form from Formik. And what you can do, you can grab that, and we just need to change it down here. The reason why you might want to use form instead of form, or the uppercase form, is now you don't have to pass an on submit. Like that. So now pretty much this whole thing is kind of auto handled for us from Formik. This is not really something I do much because it's not really that big of a difference to add just the form or to add it myself, right? We're just adding one prop, so either way works. I guess we can double check that it does work. Let's see, make sure we can still register. So oops, email. And let's do a bad password. What was it? Yep, less than 3. We're good now. Bob.com. Alright, and we register, and sure enough it does submit. So you can add these fields, and Formik will do a lot of magic behind the scenes to get them to work. So yeah, that's it for this video, guys. What I think we'll do next is actually start working on how to actually submit this and send this to our server with a GraphQL mutation. But that's it. I'll see you next time.